Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to our conference, Future of Making Things. Warm welcome to all of you, and thank you for coming. I'm David Palas, Territory Sales Manager, responsible for manufacturing solutions in Central East Europe, Poland, Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Southeastern Europe. And there is a lot of other people in the room and outside who prepared the conference for you. And I will not introduce all of them now because the agenda is very, very packed. We hope that also very useful for you. And you will find information which will help you to do whatever you do in your job successfully. So before we start, and before I start to make an introduction to the topics, I would like to thank our customers who will be presenting to you as well today. So 4 of our customers are going to share their experience with you. So thank you. Also, I would like to thank our partners. Our key partner who helped us to organize and finance this conference is a company Dell. And of course, Autodesk business partners who are, some of them helped to prepare some of the presentations. And all of them are here in the on the corridor. So you please do take the opportunity, do talk to them, do share your share information, and do get information from them. That's why you came. That's why we are here for you today. And also, I would like to thank media partners who also help us with this conference. So, there is a lot of knowledge here in the room. You have a lot of knowledge about what you do, how you do, about your industry. There is a lot of knowledge in Autodesk and in our channel partners, organizations. So let me start with one idea, because I assume that you came here to learn new things. You came here to get some new ideas to be successful. And let's think what is really important, what kind of areas of knowledge is important to be successful in the business, especially in the manufacturing business. So the first area is knowing what companies do, so we call it industry knowledge. Industry knowledge is about manufacturing processes, about technology, about trends in technology, and so on and so on. I could make a long list what it means. I think I can't teach you what industry knowledge is. Most of you have that. What I want to say, it's also important that providers of the solution have that industry knowledge. And that's why we also want to learn from you what is top issue for you in your industry. And that's today's event is the platform to exchange that information and help each other. The second thing is the solution knowledge. So this is how technology helps you to do better. This is what we are supposed to know best. This is what we know, and we develop also. So we develop technology that is supposed to help you to do better. We would not be able to help you if we don't have that knowledge of what you do. But there is the third really, really very important component, and that is understanding how you do your business, what helps you to win. This is about how you make money. Every company finally exists because the company wants to succeed on the market, wants to be profitable, wants to pay salaries to the employees, and also deliver value to the owners or shareholders. So, and there are no two companies in the world, even if those companies do same or very similar products, then they are always very different, either in how they differentiate from their competitors, what are their business strategies, and so on and so on. And this is important before somebody gives you an idea what you should do and how the technology can help you to do that. It is also important to understand what is your particular business strategy. What is your competitive advantage today, and what is the competitive advantage that you want to have tomorrow? I had a very interesting meeting yesterday at a customer with my colleague Andrzej, and we discussed exactly this topic. Today, the competitive advantage is maybe productivity and lower cost of engineering work. But as Polish zloty gets stronger and stronger, this competitive advantage will probably not work too long. So what will be the competitive advantage in 1 year from now? And these are things which then drive decisions on what business initiatives we need to take, and then it drives decisions how the technology can help us to achieve this. So these are topics of the next presentation, and these are topics of what we call future of making things. It is about business strategies, about trends which influence those business strategies and make it work or make it hard to work. So these are discussions and conversations we have with our customers, and we need to understand before we can propose really good solution to them. What kind of business model transformations the company needs to make, and which are the most important ones. And also the discussions about product innovation platform, how you do this. So let me welcome you to the future of making things, and let me invite the first presenters, Asif Moghal and Lieven Graus. They will introduce themselves. Before they start, I just want to tell you, don't worry, this is the last presentation in English language. All other presentations will be in Polish. So thank you and welcome.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for coming and spending a day with us to learn about the future of making things. So my name is Asif. I'm the Manufacturing Industry Manager at Autodesk, and together with my partner in crime, Lieven, we're going to show you why we feel so excited about the future, and actually show you some of the technology that you can implement today to help you make more money more effectively, because that's what the world of business is all about. And I really liked David's slide with the center of understanding how you make money, because that's one of the big realizations we have about our customers, is that you don't buy products from us because you like us, or you like our logos or brands, but you buy and invest in technology because you maybe feel it may help you do something you're currently doing today more effectively, and perhaps generate more cash, more profit for your own business. And I think that's why I'd like to start with what we see, how customers have traditionally tried to be more effective and get their own competitive advantage, is through three traditional approaches. The first approach is to look at your overall productivity. So you look at your input for the business and you balance it against your outputs. How do you lower your input costs in terms of raw materials, labor, that kind of stuff? How do you maximize your output by perhaps putting some automation into the business? The second traditional way of doing things is to look at your process. So our customers are asking us, how can I implement new processes to help me make my things in a smarter way, or maybe smarter materials. So things like 3D printing, or as we see here on this Airbus 350 fuselage, wrapping it around with carbon fiber tape on the outside to make it stronger. So productivity and process are two of the traditional approaches that companies are adopting. The third one is all around innovation. So how can I design and make something that's really innovative and create a part of the market for myself which I can service? And that's great. That's three traditional ways to help you be more effective and gain competitive advantage. But there is a problem with each of these three, is they're not sustainable. Bless you. In this competitive world, there's a fourth tradition, and that's the tradition of change and disruption. And so the question that we always like to ask any of the customers that we speak with is, what are you doing about this fourth tradition, this disruption that's taking place in the industry? Because that's always a fantastic place to start a conversation with a customer. So what are these four traditions? Well, number one is the cloud. Whether we like it, some people do, whether we hate it, some people do, the cloud is impacting your life today. So I guess every single one of you probably has something like an iTunes account, a Share account, Dropbox, Evernote. Periscope was a new app I found out about the other day. Perhaps you use internet banking. You know, we can pretend that this doesn't mean anything to us, but today the cloud is already impacting our personal lives. And if you think of how that impacts professional lives, it's making people wonder, if I can access, almost unlimited computing power in the cloud, why do I need to invest in a very expensive CAD computing hardware for my business? Why do I need to invest in massive storage facilities at my premises? I don't want to own them and operate them. I can really just farm this all out to the cloud. So that's one big disruptor that we're seeing. Maybe you're seeing it too. The second disruptor is how we access all this data that we put out there in the cloud with mobile computing. So with a smartphone or a tablet, or the new word for them apparently is a phablet, which is a cross between a phone and a tablet. So if you have a very large smartphone, which could almost be big enough to be a tablet, apparently it's called a phablet these days, some new slang. But we can access this tech and this data anywhere in the world. You can even design on a smartphone or a tablet. You can redline, review, mark up. You can run an entire business on the go from your backpack anywhere in the world. So that's a huge disruption. It mobilizes our customers' workforce and just makes them be able to go anywhere. The third disruptor is the dominance of social media in the world. So manufacturing companies are even starting to use social media very aggressively. And it's a very clever thing to do, because they know it's a great way to get access to potential new customers, to get feedback on what they do, what customers like about them, what they don't like about them. It's a great way to connect with the people that actually buy your products, or even your supply chain. So social media has moved away from this thing that we would take pictures of our lunch and post it to our friends to say, this is what I'm doing, to actually being something a lot more useful. Manufacturing companies are adopting these sort of social media trends moving forward. The last disruptor is the rise of things like 3D printing and low volume production. So pretty much anybody can access a 3D printer these days and start to design and generate parts and components at a significantly lower cost. We're also seeing the emergence of what they call tech shops. So groups of individuals with different manufacturing facilities coming together to make a team and then offering to produce parts, components, products at low volume production at significantly lower cost than the traditional manufacturing companies. So these are the four disruptors that are really shaking up the manufacturing world. And it's shaping the demand. So the demand for products is increasing, but the complexity of those products is rising. It's changing the way that products are designed and the level of intelligence of these products. And also, it's changing the way we physically produce the products. And it's the collection of these three things that is what we want to talk about, the future of making things. So hopefully that makes sense so far. And let me just talk about each of these in details. So demand. In 2050, there's going to be 9.6 billion people on this planet. And that's a big number, right? And if you think about the number, you think, well, okay, it's just 9.6 billion people. It'll be, in the Western economies and the US, that's where the demand is going to rise. But actually that's wrong. A lot of this population boom is going to come from what we call the non-developed countries and economies. And those people, just like us, will be walking around wanting to buy things. They'll have jobs, they'll earn money, they'll want to buy things. And the things they buy, they want to be very different to the person next to them. Because that's what we are like as human beings. We want to be different from the person sat next to us. So we are going to be very, very fussy about what we buy. We are going to want to have a bigger say in how the products that we buy are designed and made and owned and operated and ultimately retired. So the industry is trying to figure out how do we serve markets of one at the same cost as serving markets of many. Because any company that figures out how to mass customize their products and offerings and deliver it to a customer, tailored and personalized to them, is going to have that competitive advantage. So let's show you some examples of this. This is a company called Normal. They make earphones, and what they can do is they can, using your smartphone, which somebody in the audience is, you can take a picture of your ear, send it to Normal, and what they will send you back is a custom-made earphone that fits your ear precisely. So that's a really, what a fantastic idea that is. It's a great way to customize a really simple product like earphones and make it very specific and unique to a customer. So it goes beyond just choosing which color you want the earbuds to be. It's just tailored for you. Now, the value of that is that Normal can charge about $200 for a set of these earphones, whereas the competitors charge around $19, $20. So they've created a value add, a competitive difference and a competitive advantage by serving markets of one at the same cost of markets of many. Let's go on to something that probably a little bit more well known. No, this one, the next one. So I don't know why I really like this example, but Natuki bicycles in China, you can get a handcrafted bicycle built for you just by specifying some of the components and parameters you want. And what the guys at Natuki will do is they will deliver you literally a handcrafted bike. Now the impact of this in China is huge. Of course, it's a country where bicycles are in large use, but there's whole communities built around these. So you can have exactly the bike you want just by specifying some parameters instead of waiting months and months and months for this to be custom crafted. So then we stay with transportation and we go to Tesla, which is the example that's probably a bit more well known. Shows a really interesting phenomenon where we as customers are expecting the performance of our products to improve over time. So we don't expect to buy a product and use it and then throw it away. We expect now to buy a product and keep it and have it getting better and better over time. Tesla know this, so this is why they're adopting technologies like a lot of software. Because if they can improve the performance of a Tesla, then that can be achieved through a download, which I can choose to download or not. Every time a part of the Tesla breaks or wears out, it can be replaced with a lighter, stronger, faster, more cost-effective component. So how strange is that the performance of a car gets better over time and moves us away from this, let me change my car every 5-6 years, whatever you do. Serving markets of one, a really great example. The other thing about us as people is we have disposable income and we have a lot of power to influence manufacturing customers and people who design and make things. So there's a huge drive to avoid any products that end up on landfill that have been shipped thousands of miles to get there. We would rather have things that were made locally at the point of demand. We would rather not spend our money on things that have used harmful chemical processes to produce. And also, we would rather invest in companies who have ethical employment tactics as opposed to non-ethical ones. So we as people drive demand as well. So we're spending a lot of time looking for things to buy when we're not working. And in the UK alone, we apparently spend 8 hours a day online. Some of it's doing work, some of it's just finding out about things that we're interested in. Now there's an organisation called the Sales Executive Council who've determined that almost 60% of the information that your customers find out about your products and services, they do before they even speak to you. They do it using social media, your website, any blogs, any kind of other let me pick up the phone and speak to you kind of method possible. So almost 60% of the information the customer needs to make a decision about, yes, I'm going to invest in this product or this solution, they find out before even speaking to you. It's incredible, and I think that's why the way product design is happening is changing rapidly. So design is becoming a real social activity. We're seeing our manufacturing customers open the doors to their businesses and invite their customers in to be part of the product development discussion. It's really clever because it expands your design team at zero cost, but it might give you that very interesting, innovative idea that you hadn't thought of before at almost zero risk. They're also including their supply chain to figure out how to create a value chain instead of a supply chain. We're seeing a lot more companies relax about owning the intellectual property for their products. So you're starting to see more and more components specified and available on CAD libraries on my website. So I could drag and drop components from your catalog into my assembly. It means I'm specifying your components at source. So I'm not too stressed about that. And if you take the idea that GE and Quirky are working on, they're really open sourcing a lot of innovative ideas and patented technologies and making it just available to anyone. The example here is a wireless network adapter, which anybody can download the specs to, build and print, print and build, whatever they want to do, and you could use this to develop your own connected devices. So, see, another big trend is the idea around intellectual property protection is becoming a lot less of a stressy topic. We're relaxing about it, and we're seeing the industry just open its doors a bit more. So that's another way that design is changing. But design just doesn't happen, you need money. One of my very first jobs was to help small to medium-sized businesses get venture capital funding for innovative new products, and we used to have to go and speak to the banks and the venture capitalists, and it was a very horrible experience. They would be very, they would shout at you and just tell you you were rubbish and the product was no good, and it will never work and it will never sell. Of course, you don't need to do that so much these days because the way you fund innovation and products is changed through crowdsourcing and crowdfunding. So Kickstarter is a great example where anybody with a reasonably good idea could go and get some funding for a product, try it out at almost no risk. So the small to medium-sized businesses and then the very large businesses are seeing competition come from the 1 or 2 person organizations that have just started up in someone's bedroom. Okay? So that's forcing us to think about the way we design products more effectively. The last thing about design and how it's changing is it's not just about us. It's now possible, using the power of the cloud and some of our systems, to specify the performance characteristics of a product and have the computer go and generate hundreds of iterations for you instead of you thinking them up yourself. Now the value of that is it could lead to a very innovative concept or idea that you hadn't considered yourself. So using things like lattice structures and generative design, shape optimization technology, all of this stuff is possible. And so the thing about innovation, everyone is looking to innovate. And I'm very fascinated by this topic. So we did a little bit of research on it. And there are 3 types of innovation. If I asked you to put your hands up and say, which of you here thinks you're innovative, I guess probably all of you would. But if I asked you what type of innovation you do, I think most of us would probably say we focus on incremental innovation, which is to take a product and make it slightly better and sell it to our existing customer base, and then take it and make it slightly better and sell it to that customer base. Some of us would be doing adjacent innovation, which would be to take a product and find a new application for it and sell it to a new market. So that's what we call adjacent. And maybe some of us would be very transformational about our innovation, which we would introduce a very disruptive product or technology offering to our customer base, which no one else has done before, which changes the game. So there are really 3 types of innovation: incremental, adjacent, and transformative. And every type of innovation has a level of risk associated with it. So incremental innovation is so safe, the risk is low. We kind of know what we're doing. It's just producing more of the same with slight tweaks. Adjacent innovation, the risk is a little bit higher, but not too bad. It's a medium level of risk. But transformative innovation, the risk is extremely high. This is why we're actually scared of it. The risks of trying to invest in transformative innovation are extremely high. And when we look at companies with a very good track record of these types of innovation, and this is from the Harvard Business Review, they've looked at how companies invest their resources in these three types of innovation. That's people, time and money. So incremental innovation, most of our company's resources, 70% is invested in incremental innovation because it's keeping the wheels of our business turning. Around about 20% is invested in adjacent innovation, and only 10% is invested in transformative. And this is for companies with a very good track record in these three types of innovation. The conversations that Levin and I have with customers, these numbers are probably 90%, 10, 0, 95%, 5%, 0. There's very few companies that feel ready to invest in transformative innovation. When you look at the return on profitability, it's completely the opposite. The return on incremental innovation is only 10%. Yes, it's a high volume, low value aspect of the business. And the value is being squeezed out because of those traditional approaches that we're trying to adopt and the lack of sustainability of them. Adjacent innovation, an even 20%, not a bad bet if you can do it. Transformative innovation, the return on your profitability, if you get it right, is as high as 70%. And so this is why we go crazy for transformative innovation. We'd all love to do it, but we're too scared to do it. We need some way to enable that within our business. And I think that is why product intelligence is starting to change. So we're starting to see a lot more smarter products, connected products. So vehicles that can sense the proximity of themselves to other vehicles, livestock which are tracked everywhere they go, connected appliances in the home, connected appliances in the community. But in smart products is much more than just putting a SIM card into a gadget or a device and having it send data up into the cloud. You need something to capture that data and interpret it. And that's why we're seeing sensors and software appearing in the way we make traditional parts and components. So more and more and more we see software as a big aspect of the things we do. From the Nest home thermostat, which has a kind of a learning function about it. It monitors your patterns of what sort of room temperature you like when you leave the house, when you come back, and it starts to adapt to those sorts of things. Basic software applications appearing on vehicle dashboards, applications that are designed to interface with gadgets that they've never been designed to talk to before, but learn how to communicate with. And smart applications to monitor real-time performance of some of your assets, like your factory. So software and electronics and sensors are becoming a standard part of the traditional way we design and make manufactured components these days. And there's almost no product that's immune to this. That's a big change that we're seeing. A lot of our customers are saying, well, how do I adapt to this? I need to bring new skills and ideas into my business just to incorporate these things. And so if you take a standard part and you look at how you used to make it and look at how you now make it today, I'll use the example of a vacuum cleaner. I've just bought my parents a robot vacuum cleaner because I was just interested myself, so I bought it for them. So this thing will just come out of its docking station and go around the whole house, learn the layout of the house, completely automated. So think of the manufacturing facilities required to make the old vacuum cleaner. Now think of how that manufacturing facility had to change to incorporate this new one. Plastic injection molding, electronics, sensors, software, hardware, internet connected. It's a really different skill set. So of course that's going to change the way we produce things. And if you look at any kind of factory or production facility, you'll see that it's moved away from this kind of thing where you have a long line and lots of people just doing one task hundreds of thousands of times. You'll start to see more robotics appear on a production line. This example is Baxter. It's a US robot that costs around $20,000, and the companies that buy things like Baxter know that it's about the same cost as an average semi-skilled worker in the US. It can be reprogrammed very easily to do simple tasks like pick any object up from here and put it here. It's been used in the Ebola crisis to hold medical equipment for the workers to climb in and out of without having to touch anything. Very versatile. But if the impact of that to your manufacturing facility would be quite incredible. If you scale that up and you take into the concept of smart factories or configurable factories or building factories at the point of demand, You start to see factories that you can configure to create a certain product for a period of time, and then be reconfigured and be reused to create another or an even better product for a period of time. So those are the sorts of things that our customers are starting to embrace and look at. But it is, of course, not just what you make, it's what you make things from. So we're seeing a huge interest in some of the advanced materials that are available, because it's possible to do so many things. You can print metal, you can weave carbon fibre, and that adds a whole new potential range of opportunity to the products you make if you want to make them lighter or stronger or more durable or able to be disposed of environmentally friendly, if that's a term, in the future. So that kind of advanced materials will allow us to produce, design, make and produce parts that you could never machine. You could probably never even design as a human, like this heat exchanger that's come from a vehicle. Couldn't machine it, but it's been printed. So those are some of the trends that we see, and then what do we also see that our customers are choosing to do about this or not? And I like this slide. This is from a study by Tech Clarity, and it shows the top strategies for manufacturing companies, and there are only two. It's not a surprise. Everybody wants to differentiate through innovation and customization, and they want to compete globally, but with flexible or agile manufacturing capabilities. That's the two things that people tell us all the time. I just want to differentiate and compete. I don't want competitive advantage, I want repetitive advantage. I want to be able to continually stay ahead of all my competition. So how do you do that? So, as David said earlier, every company has a kind of a process, like a recipe or a formula you follow to make your money. And it might look something like this. You might come up with a concept, you might design it, you then might make it, and you sell it to someone else who will then use it, they'll operate it, and eventually they'll retire it. Okay. Now, your process may not look anything like this, or it might be similar, but the fact is every company has a process you follow. This is your recipe for making money. And that's a traditional approach that you have. You've been doing this for many years, and most of the company's efforts are to look at this process and try and just improve it slightly. Maybe improve the concept of design by 10% or these kind of things. But that's a business model that's based on selling a fixed value product for a fixed price. And of course the cost of products can only come down at the moment. And it kind of paints our customers into a bit of a corner. How do you break this cycle? How do you really differentiate and compete and have repetitive advantage for yourself? So fixing these problems is the starting of it, and how to connect the gaps in the process. But it's really about building a platform. And that platform will enable you to move away from just doing concepts to drastically customizing your designs and personalizing them for your customers. So moving away from mass production to mass configuration. Our customers are interested in collaborating more. So at the design phase, opening the doors to their customers, their suppliers, and seeing if there's sparks of transformative innovation that come from those discussions without giving away too much of their IP. Our customers are looking to adopt much more advanced manufacturing facilities or flexible manufacturing, being able to set up production facilities at the point of demand, or have configurable factories, or use much more agile manufacturing capabilities. Our customers are also looking to move away from just selling products to selling an experience to their customers. So owning some office furniture, or owning a vehicle, or owning a building or a machine tool actually becomes more of an experience, which means that these products need to be connected. And that builds the platform for a model of connected services. So this is the holy grail that most of our customers are telling us. This is where we're taking our business. It might be a 3 or 5 year journey, but we want to get to this world of connected services where we start to use our product as a service, and that's where we're going to see our business growth. That's where we'll see our profitable business. This is how Normal have done things. This is how Tesla have done things, and Natsuki bicycles. They're figuring out how to serve these markets of one, differentiating themselves and seeing growth as a result, because they're using their products as a service. And the lifetime value that they can sell to those customers just increases, because the performance of the product can improve over time. But to do this, you need an agile product development process. And so when we talk about the future of making things, this is what we mean. How can we help you look at your process, whatever it looks like today, and start to identify ways that you can personalize more, can collaborate more, get more flexible in your design and manufacturing. Start using your products as an experience and building a platform for connected services. To do that, you need a product innovation platform. And this is what we're going to show you in a second, the components of this product innovation platform that will enable you to do these things. So our portfolio is pretty broad. We can just do almost anything, and this is the problem. Most people don't realize the breadth of what we can do. It's a lot. We're trying to cram it into a short amount of time. And so in case you haven't heard about the connected services model or using a product as a service, the example we always like to use is the Rolls-Royce Trent engine. Rolls-Royce don't sell jet engines anymore. What they sell is power by the hour. So if I wanted to buy a jet, which one day I'll probably never be able to afford a jet, but I wouldn't buy a jet and own it and then have people come out and fix it every 6 years or something. I would just pay Rolls-Royce a monthly subscription fee. And in return, they would guarantee that my fleet of aircraft would be in the air for 10,000 hours, 20,000 hours, 1 million air miles. That's the way the whole industry is going, to this model of connected services. And the Rolls-Royce is a really good example of that. So I hope all that made sense. If you would like to stay in touch, I love to speak to customers and find out what you're doing, what's working, what's not, what you like, what you hate. And so these are ways to connect with me. There's my phone number, email address. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm also on Twitter. So please contact us and speak to us. We'd love to hear from you. But I'm now going to go very quiet and hand over to Lieven, who's going to show you some of the amazing things I've been talking about.